What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for very much for participating with me in this Jurassic Park film series so far, and I am continuing it today with my review of Jurassic Park 3, the third one. This is a film that I have actually had a really good relationship with when I was growing up because this was like the one film that I always wanted to watch the most. Sometimes I prefer to watch this over the first one when I was growing up, and I hadn't seen Lost World yet, and I hadn't even seen Jurassic World yet because it hadn't even come out. So I was very excited to see Jurassic Park 3 the most, and now we're going to talk about it because I do have a lot to say about this film. This film stars Sam Neill once again as Dr. Alan Grant from the first movie, who you remember, and he is asked by a couple played by Tia Leone and William H. Macy, and they are asking him that they can tour if they can he can be their guide to Isla Sorna, which is the island from the second movie. And then it's revealed that their son has been missing on the island for over 8 weeks, and now they crash land on the island, and now they have to fight for their lives. So if you think about it, it's kind of the same movie again as the first two, except they crash on the island, whereas in the first two movies they were sent to the island and then stuff breaks down, now they can't leave, so they have to just try to find their way off. So it's a little bit different in that regard. I do have a lot to say about this film. This film came out way back in 2001, and I had seen it after the first movie. So first I saw the first movie, then I saw this one. Then Jurassic World, and then Lost World later on, and I still have yet to see Fallen Kingdom. So we'll get to that eventually. So we're going to get to that. But right now, let's talk about Jurassic Park 3. I will say this. As far as the positives go, like for what I can say are the pros for this movie, the special effects for the dinosaurs are still really good. Granted, they are not as good as the first film. Now, there's another YouTube critic out there that I'm sure you're all very familiar with if you watch YouTube reviews. Chris Stuckman, he did say in his video that there are scenes where the main dinosaur that keeps chasing them throughout the movie, they come across like 3 times, at least 3 or 4 times in the movie, I think, is that there are moments where it's moving and it looks like a theme park ride instead of like a real dinosaur. And there are shots where you can kind of tell that it could be fake, but I honestly don't see that as a big negative. Because I will say the special effects in this movie are rather well done. So yeah, I can say that. The special effects are pretty well done. Another positive I can say, Alan Grant. My God, still a great character. He was a breath of fresh air for me. I was disappointed in the past. I was very disappointed that he wasn't really in the second movie. But now I love the second movie, and this one I can watch it for Niell. I can watch it for Sam Neill's performance alone, because he's that good of a character. And now I heard, if you guys haven't heard, they're bringing him back again in Jurassic World Dominion. Pretty excited about that, as well as Laura Dern. Very excited about that too. So I'm very happy to see what their performances are going to bring to this film. But unfortunately, that's where my positives end for this movie. Because there is a lot of issues I have with this film. Now, granted, this isn't an unwatchable film for me. I can watch this film no problem, but it's one that I'm probably going to go to the least. Sadly. So, let's talk about my issues with this movie. For one thing, I just want to get the big one out of the way first, and this is probably one that everybody has an issue with. Tia Leone as Amanda. I'm not saying she's a bad actress, but her character is probably the dumbest character in the franchise, besides Hammond, who keeps on, who basically created the dinosaurs in the first place. Tia Leone in this movie, she makes so many bad decisions that it almost breaks the movie. Almost. She's always screaming, running around like crazy. She's shouting at people when she needs to be the fuck quiet. I keep on shouting at the screen. I'm like, you're gonna get everybody killed. Stop screaming. Stay quiet. And it's so crazy because this movie is full of people running around, but she does it the most. So she's the one who basically breaks the movie for me. Almost. She almost breaks it. Not completely, but it's still very disappointing it's still very annoying to have to hear. Another thing I will say is that there is a moment in this film, especially at the beginning, that I think kind of makes Alan Grant an unlikable character. And that's how these two people, William H. Macy, who plays the dad, and Tia Leone, The way that they get Alan Grant back on the island is with money. They say we have, like, we can write all sorts of numbers on this check. What's it gonna be? And he had just said he had said a couple scenes prior, if you're paying attention, he said a couple scenes prior, no force of life on Earth will ever get me on that island. Except money. Well, except money. Money apparently will get you to go on that island. No problem. So that's kind of a bad motivation. You don't want a character's motivation, especially the protagonist, to be money. It's kind of lazy, and it's not really a good trait. So, granted, that's not something that I wanted from them. Another thing I will say, and I'm looking at my notes right now because I had to write notes for this film because there was so much I had to talk about. Also, okay, there is one last flaw that I have with this film before I wrap this video up. Now, granted, yeah, there isn't a whole lot of issues. There isn't too many issues I have with it. There are just a few major ones. But one last issue that I have with this film is the lack of creative dinosaurs that they have in this movie. If you watch the first two films, they come across all sorts of dinosaurs. Like, even dinosaurs that most kids probably will never even hear of in their youth. Because most dinosaurs that kids are familiar with are maybe the Brachiosaurus, T-Rex, Triceratops, the Velociraptors. Those are the most well-known ones. And the Dilophosaurus was a dinosaur that not very many kids are familiar with in the first movie. So once they heard about that one, that was a new species that they kind of showed them. In the second movie, they introduced them to the Compies, which they do make a very small appearance in this film, but not enough to really make an impression. And, the T-Rexes are a big one in that one as well. And yeah, but in this movie, it's one dinosaur chasing them the entire movie. And it's honestly very repetitive, and it can get a little bit tedious. So I wish that they would have done more with the dinosaurs in this film. Like, I wish they would have come across more of them. And yeah. Also, the way the movie ends, I hate to say this, but the ending of this movie is not a happy ending, if you think about it. They try to make it look like a happy ending, but it's not. Okay, if you know how the original film ended, you know that Alan Grant was looking out the window of the helicopter and you see a bunch of birds flying. Yeah, those were birds. In this movie, it's the same shot again, except it's the pterodactyls from this movie. They escaped, and now they're flying off into God knows where. So that's not really a good ending, because now these animals are going to fly around to a populated area, and they're probably going to kill people. So if you think about it, it's not a happy ending. And people are saying, oh yeah, they're going to a new breeding ground, it's a whole new world for them. But it's like, that's not good. That's not a good ending. That's not the ending you want. So in the long run, you guys, this is not a terrible film. It's definitely at the bottom of the list as far as the 4 films that I have seen so far. Unless Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom beats it, which a lot of people have said that one is worse than this one, but we'll see how it goes. So you guys, if you're interested in watching this film, I recommend that you check it out. It is watchable despite all the flaws, so I'm going to give it the bronze medal. So thank you guys very much for watching. Look forward to my next review, which will be for Jurassic World with Chris Pratt. Looking forward to reviewing that with you guys. Thank you guys for joining my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.